Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Before we start, I would really would like to wish you Happy New Year. And today we're going to do a deep review in all the tanks of Anac 2021. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it before. We tried to make some schedules with Mike and Andre, and Andre couldn't make it possible to be present here with us just to comment some of the tanks. But I have with me Balbi. Let me introduce to the stream. It is Balbi and also Mike Senske. I think you all know them. Bobby is already working for Aquaflora for, I think, 1 year, but he's staying with us
Yeah.
for a couple of years now. And Mike has a very successful shop and business in Houston, in Texas, United States. I think you guys know ADG, Aquarium Design Group. Mike, if you want to say something to the audience.
I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. And first of all, it's always just a humble honor to be able to judge, anybody's works, the aquascaping, and I'm often inspired as well. And so again, it's always an honor to be able to see these works and have comments.
Good. Babita, you want to say something?
Hi. Happy New Year, familia, and 1 year more. I'm so happy, proud. It's a huge honor to be part of the team. It's every year is much better. So I'm so happy to be here, and it's so nice to be here with you and Mikey. So I hope you like all the comments.
All the aquascaping skills are improving year after year, and also we need to explain a little bit for the people that are getting in that this is not the usual contest where you can submit all the tanks with different size. No, all the tanks have the same size, same light, also the same soil. Uh, I would really would like also to give a big shout out to our sponsors, to Prodivio, to Strideways, to Twin Star, GBL, for making this possible. And of course, all the contestants, they get the same tank, the same equipment, everything. So it's a fair contest, and they need to use a very restrict measure that is the 45P. I think it's a 45, 27, 28, or 2730. And of course, this makes the judgment of the tanks a little bit more difficult because we are talking and seeing about the same size, and the skills, they are really improved, and people try to make it this in a very different way. Of course, the goal of that would be to judge local directly in Vivarium, but once again, this year was not possible. Vivarium was postponed or canceled. So we need to improve a little bit and try to make it this online. So in this way, we already judge. I really also would like to say that in the group of judge, we were 9 judges for the evaluation process that was shown before, and but it was impossible to join all the 9 judges. It was just one stream. Otherwise, we'll stay here forever for a couple of hours. So we tried to make Andre possible to come and be with us, but unfortunately he couldn't make it. And to avoid postpone this and postpone, and then probably will take even more time just to match the schedules. So we have Andre, Bobby, and me, and we're going to take a deeper review on all the tanks. And so let's start with the tank number one. Number one doesn't mean that is the first tank or the tank that won the contest, okay? When the tanks were assigned at Aquaflora, they got a number. So it's easy for us to identify the tank itself. So all of them have a number. We start with the number one. Will hand in tank number 35. However, there is some people or some contestants that didn't send the end result or the final picture. So probably there is some missing numbers, but now you understand why they are not being shown there. They were not being disqualified. They simply gave up or any other issue or problem they have may face. So tank number 1 belongs to Bart. Okay. Later on, if you want just to pause the stream for some reason, that you can check the list of plants that it was used on this tank. But we're going to get focused mainly on this picture. So who wants to start talking about it?
I'll start.
You
Yeah.
start?
Go,
Good.
Mike. Go,
So
go.
I like the plant species selection that the aquascaper's chosen here. The topics that the points I'd like to notice on here is is just if the stem plants in the back, it's a very straight horizontal line. And if to the left or to the right or to both left and right, if those had kind of been able to come up, or there's a little variation and not having such a horizontal line in the back, that would have added to the overall presence. One other thing too is if I'm looking, I see these small stones there to the corner of the aquascape that really don't match that well. It's a lighter stone. I think if the scaper had chosen a darker stone, it even could have been a smooth stone, but a darker stone and more of a similar color to the feature stones in the aquascape. And then also move those kind of evenly or some off to the side, and not just that one left side there, because it's a very straightforward aquascape. And then the one rock there to the side there I'm seeing a very hard edge. It's a very straight line. That's a vertical line right there. And if that rock had just been tilted or turned a little bit so we can see the best face of that rock, these are things I think that would have added to positive points for this aquascape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You probably want to say something about it?
I have the same, the rock, the mix, and I'm completely agreed. I think it would be so
in my
easy.
opinion, in my
Yeah.
opinion, it's not so. It's the way how the tank developed by itself. So, because I understand that probably in the artscape he had something in mind, or something didn't went so well, and he let it plants grow in the very cool way. So we don't have some kind of vanishing point in this tank.
Mm.
I believe that the main idea was just to bring a V shape somehow, and then later on, because the position of the wood was just trying to make it work. But then in the end, it's all just a straight line on the background. And that there is nothing that guides you from the front to the left to the background. And of course, even that hydrocotyl, if it was just trimmed, just give a little bit of details would more than enough. But in general, the tank is okay. The colors are okay. The tank is healthy. But it needs a little bit more. It tends to rank a little high next year. Maybe trying to get the best of the use of the space, because I know that it's a short tank, but in a short tank, it's also possible to make it look a little bit deeper. And probably here, the position of the wood will be nice just to see there a V shape for some reason. But it's still a nice tank. So I need to explain a little bit, because Nine Judge, when we start ranking all the tanks, we have our own taste. So we don't look to the aquascapes in the same way. And this is what is causing some diversity, and that is good for the contest. So what for me is amazing, for Balbi could not be so.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
But it makes a fair contest, because it makes it more balanced. Okay. So let's go for tank number 2. This tank is from Bastian, and I can start from here. Looking to this tank, I can see that he tried to make a very triangular shape composition and give a little bit of depth on the back right corner. But the main issue for me right here, when I look to the tank, we need more volume. I think it was a question of timing. Plants on the background, mostly on the left, behind those pieces of wood, was expecting to grow a little bit taller and fill it up a little bit more the space. This is the thing, because in general the composition is quite nice. It shows a lot of skills. Not too sure about the use of the Ludwigia Minuscule Red on the right corner, because he has more volume than the other stem plants. But it means that it can always bring you a little bit of proximity and trying to give depth, but probably with a different plant, not that one. For me, the biggest issue was always the left corner because it was just asking for taller plants, something that can make a huge contrast with all this green. And I think for some reason, Bastian missed up a little bit the timing on trimming, or something went wrong, and the plants didn't reach the surface as we wanted. This is my opinion about it.
Yeah, it looks a little bit messy. I think it was a question of time, or because you can see the cryptos are overgrowing, and I can see the idea, but they have a limitations of time. So in a many
Yeah,
times you cannot control always the timing and the trimmings and everything.
they have 4 months since they
Yeah.
pick all the material. That this is usually on the end of June, beginning of July, till end of November. So they have 4 months just to make it work. And probably it was a question of timing. It trimmed, but probably the plants didn't grow was expected because it's screaming for something colorful on the top left corner. But it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And Mike, you had something to say about it?
No, I agree with all your comments. I think if I'm looking at it, the a little bit more space or depth created on that left side down below. If I just feel like I want to take the wood and push it back and then bring the middle towards the front a little bit to where it's not so flat. I actually like the contrast of the red a little bit there. I think a little bit more of that. Possibly timing and having it more towards that back right, and then bringing a little bit over to the left in the back and getting some height up there would really kind of I could see the aquascape as a whole and bring it together instead of my eye just going either right to that red on the far right side, and then I'm really wanting to see a little bit more depth and space between the wood and the front of the glass. But overall, the intention and the overall feel and the intention of what the escape was to be or is to be is very nice.
Okay, everyone, what something else to say about it? Can we move?
Let's go.
So let's go for tank number 3.
Number 3.
Benjamin is from Belgium. So let's look the tank. Who wants to start here?
I can start with that. I think the idea was great because it's a lot of structure, a lot of work, a lot of glue. I think, but at the end, the path, I don't know how to explain, but it looks so unreal. You know what I mean? Because it's too. I know it's because the tank is so tiny, so you cannot do a lot of things, and you have a big piece of wood in the front. So I think in that case, for me, the more it's the way that the path is it was doing.
I think here also that what it feels to me is, and I have to give credit for this, is that the aquascaper tried to use a lot of the same techniques that you see in large aquascapes. So he took a lot of the same techniques with the perspective and how the camera is going to pick up this aquascape and achieve that depth. He made that. I feel he made that attempt in such a small space. So that I think that was a bold move there. But again, it's just a little within such a small aquarium, and to get the path and to achieve depth. I think if that front piece of wood had been angled or executed a little bit differently, so it makes my eye want to see the back a little bit more. It could have pointed higher, but that's the feeling I got, is that I'm gonna show you how to do a really big tank and a small tank, and so I give credit for that.
Yeah, but I really like the idea. So I think I don't know if the tank is already alive, but with some mini touches, I think it would be a very nice tank. I really like the idea.
I think, in my opinion, the way how it is projected, if you look closer to the left top corner, we see.
I have the laptop here.
Some kind of lights coming from there on just in the part below of the wood structure. So this is guiding my eyes just for the path instead of going straight forward, coming towards to the back right corner. This should go behind that bridge or wood structure and end it on the left top corner would make more sense because it would give a little bit more depth. And since
Yeah.
the right side is still a little bit more detailed, I think the exchange or to get the mirror effect, have the plants on the right side and give the
Agreed.
path in the coming or towards that small vanishing point behind the bridge, because it's something that is so dark on the wood because it's
Mm.
so close to the front glass. So our eyes always pointed out to that vanishing point on the top left corner. So it makes more sense the path going towards that direction than on the opposite one. So, but
Mm.
anyway, I understand this is not easy. The tank is small.
Mm.
I missed lack of details. We could always add a little bit more of details, tiny plants, tiny epiphyte plants that can be placed on the shadow area. At least we don't have that dark blind spot, but some details over there that will be more interesting to see. But in general, I like the composition. I don't think that is so well executed because of that. A few things that could be improved, but it was a big risk in making something like
A
this.
bold move, a
So
very
you
bold
can
move.
love
Yeah,
it or you can hate it. You
Yeah.
guys agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's move on. So we have tank number 4 from Bruno Collet. It's from Belgium too.
Mm.
And this is, I guess, is a traditional Natura aquarium. Bobby, you want to start from this?
Uh, yeah, I know I have to give advices, but I really like that tank because I know the tank is tiny. The size is so small, but if you don't have idea, you see. So you see that the guy is doing something, so he knows. I think it needs a little bit more time because for sure the plants needs a little bit more time, and but I really like it. I don't want to change anything because it's a planted tank. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's only I think the plants needs time to be a little bit more tall in the back part. The picture it's amazing. I really like that tank. So I cannot say anything. You know, maybe to work a little bit more with mini stones or the front part. It needs a trim, but I know the plants. So the plants needs time. So I think it's only the composition is so nice, natural. The tank size, it is, yeah, and the fish, everything. I cannot say anything
You
wrong.
want to say
It's
something?
your turn.
Yeah, no, no. Let me. So I like this one a lot
Oh
as well. I
my,
think the plant species selection, they harmonize
yeah.
and work very well. It gives a very natural feel to it.
Mm.
I agree with Balbi. Maybe just a little bit more detail stone in the foreground, a little bit, just some smaller pieces to add some more texture, which also will give you more depth.
Mm.
And I think too, just a little bit more time and a little bit more trimming on the plants. But I can see definitely where this layout is going. On the fish, I think maybe my eye would have liked to have seen maybe possibly like a micro rasbora.
I see
You know,
the
something.
guppies.
Yeah,
It's
so something.
micropoecilia. It's a poecilia. I
Yeah,
don't know
something a
exactly the
little.
species. Yeah.
Something a little bit, like again, any of your type, like a little chili rasbora or something like that to give it a and I think that would make the aquarium look larger as well by having a smaller fish in there, and
Mm.
the refinement of the fish too would, I think, harmonize with the plant selection. But overall, a very nice tank.
Mm.
From my point of view, Bruno tried to fool us, all of us, in the way he took the picture. Just from
Mm.
very down on the front of the tank, we can
Yeah.
see from the edges of the side. And this is very tricky because when I look at this tank, I can imagine how it can be looked from the front. And from the front, I'm pretty sure that is a little bit in the line or is a bit flat in all the stem plants because we don't see difference of growth on the background. So the angle or how the picture was taken was a little bit tricky. So it is a bit risky to do something like this. I'm pretty sure that if this tank was seen on the exhibition, for sure we had to try to let go some plants just to give the volume and enhance some structures on it. Because from this angle where the picture was taken, um, we see there is a clear line. The wood is pointing also to the sides. It's well done. However, I would like to see a little bit more volume, at least on the center, because even from this angle, we can see that it's more or less a straight line. But for the use of the plants, the way we blend them together, it is well done. And always our eyes is fixed on the center because of the red. It catch our attention.
Yeah.
And this is the reason I tend to move forward to the corners. However, a little
Mm.
bit more volume will be much better, mostly for a kind of triangular shape, or I would say island aquascape. I think that was probably what is wanted to do, because
Mm.
I don't see this tank in a V shape. I look to it to look like an island.
Yeah, me
So
too.
a little more volume at the center would improve a lot this aquascape. But in general, it looks good. Also, the foreground carpet, if it was a little bit shorter,
Mm.
probably would give a little bit more of details on the front. And in general, this is a really good work, mostly for such small space.
Yeah.
And blending all these kind of plants together, this is really well done.
Something
So
that we didn't say is that we made the judge voting with a picture because they sent
yeah,
to us a video. So the tank in the video was
yes, in
so
the video was
it,
okay. It was good. A little bit different because the angle was
yeah,
also
because you
different.
you can show everything. It's
Yeah.
yeah, so important the way that
And
you took the
maybe what I
picture.
said, and maybe what I said before about the straight line on the video is not exactly like that, because
Yeah.
probably in the video the center could be a little bit higher, but can
Yeah,
be
you can
just
show all the volumes and all the texture. Yeah, it's completely different. But we made the voting with the pictures, so
okay.
it's just like as a comment. But
So let's
congratulations,
move
Bruno.
on for the tank number
Let's
5.
go.
So it's from Casper. I think this is his first or second aquascape, if I'm not wrong. He started few months back or 1 year. It's not a very experienced aquascaper, but it's trying to do his best, of course.
Mm,
And
yeah,
of course, everybody needs to start from something.
from the beginning.
Uh, yeah, I know that now with all the super glue theme about building structures, I think everybody in general can build something eye-catching. However, the skills about growing plants is something that you need to take time. So
Mm,
it's something that you cannot glue everything because it's not plastic. And at least from what Casper did, at least trying to use more plants than usually we see with upcoming new aquascapers. That is always about massive structures of hardscape and just put a little bit plants here and there. At least
yeah.
give it a try. So for this tank, of course, it needs definition. I also some plants are not so placed wisely. So
Mm,
looking to more or less like a fake triangular shape coming to the left to the right, I would place all the microsorghums probably in one single side, play with the stem plants and trim them. So in order that we can make a triangular shape coming from left to the right and make it simple. So
mm.
sometimes the most simple things are the most difficult to achieve. So it's just at the start. So Casper, next year, I'm pretty sure that we'll be doing much better. It's always a learning process. So
Yeah, because
uh,
the structure is okay. So the hardscape, I remembered a little bit the hardscape because it was that contest, as Felipe told at the beginning, it's a little bit different because we have the opportunity to see all the process to from the very beginning. So the hardscape, it was very good one.
Yeah, I
So
think
it's just that time.
yeah, the aquascaper's onto a good point. I like the rock work. It's
Me
an
too.
interesting use of the rock.
Mm,
I also like the use, a little bit of technique going on there on the right side with the bucephalandra.
yeah.
I maybe could have done without the wood. Um, it's a little
yeah,
bit, right there. That maybe could have gone away a little bit, and I think just if it had time to give it a good trimming on the stem plants and again creating a little bit of a V down the middle to allow the high point in the center to be the feature, would have been nice. The Java fern over time, obviously, we know in a small aquarium like this will get rather large. So maybe more of a needle leaf or a narrow leaf Java, if you're going to use something like that, would be a little bit better of a choice. But overall, I can feel the skill there.
Okay, so let's move.
Let's go.
So tank number 6 is from Daniel. So we have, I think it's Daniel is also in aquascaping for about 1 year. Huh? So it doesn't look like for one person that is 1 year in aquascaping, just trying to build something like this in 45 centimeters or 45 feet. Well, he needs to have some skills to make it. For me, the only issue with this tank is I understand that on the beginning, people try to use a lot of plants and trying to use the most they can because they want to try. They want to use this and that. And the thing is, we need to know when we need to stop because the tank is small. So when we use plants that they can get out a little bit of the scale, they can be too big for the scape itself. I understand the use of some plants mostly on the front, but they are too big for the scape itself. So my advice to Daniel in the next time, trying to play simple, but playing simple doesn't mean that it's easy. So we need to select wisely the plants that you want to use and don't disperse them all in all the place because just you want to give a sprinkle of color because all these plants placing on the front for some reason it gives a color, but at the same time distract us a lot. Because when I look to it, it's so many elements with different color, and color is one of the factors that we use for the focal point. So if you start placing them everywhere, I don't know where I need to see or where I need to look to it. So the tank in general needs a little bit of definition, mostly on the right side. Of course, probably a little bit more of time. Just trim a little bit those microsorms and just let the stem plants on the background cover or go a little bit towards the surface so we can give some coloration in there and try to don't split or disperse so much colorful plants in the front because it's too distracting for my eyes. But in general, the path, everything, the depth is there.
The details,
I can see the effort in trying to make it. But the thing is, too distracting in the front, try to avoid that. I'm pretty sure that next year you're going to get a better ranking.
But I really like the species, the plants. He did very well. He had Prosepinaca, Nesea, so I really like the variety of the plants. Yeah, it's a lot of. It's very messy, but I really like the.
I like the variety of the species, but not putting heat
in the way.
There.
Not in the way. Yeah, but that is magic because with you can see the experience. It's not only if you are improving in hardscape or aquascape, you improve a lot to know how to manage the plants. Where is the place for that plant? Where is the place for another one? So that is time. It needs time only.
Yeah, it needs time. But at least we have the courage just to place more plants. That is good. But this is what I said in the beginning. We need to know, and this is very common in the upcoming new aquascapers. We try to use most we can. But a very tiny space is more evident. So when you look and say, well, that is a little bit too much. Try to use a little bit less. And in the right spot, due to the size, the diameter they will get when they are mature. And I am pretty sure that you're going to get a better score next year or improve as an aquascaper, of course.
Yes.
So, Mike, you want to say something about it? Can we move?
I agree. I think just to kind of summarize what both of you are saying, and that is the plant species selection is nice. Just focusing more on the composition of those plants and using them you know, as more groups and not so random, because when it gets random like that, it gets a little bit distracting, a little bit disorganized.
Yeah.
So when you organize those plants and tighten it up and let that species kind of speak for itself, you know, that's your that's your paints for the portrait. And then I think this layout, you know, could have pointed higher for that, but again, very nice.
Okay, so let's move to tank number 7. Okay, this is from Frank. So let's look to it. And well, let me start. Here, when I look at this, I like the colors. I like the way of the mysterious in the left side, like this cave. But I don't like to see the wally sheep just placed on the right corner. It doesn't make too much sense for me because we are trying to force a triangular shape, and then we have that volume that should not be there. Or even if it is there, so just a small tip of the plant, like it was part of the carpet somehow, but a little bit taller than the carpet itself, because I think we have Micanthromoids, just the stem plants close to the glass and on the right side. So maybe just a transition to that would be nice, but not the volume, because when we have something so high in the left corner, we are trying to force some triangular shape. We have the focal point, just that is the cave, dark area that always give that 3D feeling and sense of depth. Using of the Wally Shi on the right corner, which was probably for me the biggest mistake. It breaks completely the balance of the layout.
You know, Filipe, I think when I'm looking at this, and I like it a lot. I think I like the idea of the excuse me, of the cave. That's something unique and different. It gives me the feeling of kind of walking in nature, and there's this cave that I'm drawn to, and it's kind of a hillside. So I think with the Willichi on that back right, I agree with you. If that had gone away, and because there's such a darker presence with that cave, I would have maybe worked a little bit of rock work just in that where that Willichi is back there, just a little layering or texturing of a little rock, but keeping it lower than the high point of the scape.
Really low.
That little bit of detail gives it gives me that depth and pulls my eye back and just almost makes me. I'm trying to look now up and over this cave. So and maybe just a little bit more of the vine technique coming down. I think maybe a little bit of that brought down on coming from the top to the bottom on the cave, just to give it again a little bit more of a detail, more of like roots growing around it, little more of that. But and then possibly a small stone placement, a little bit mid ground there, just to kind of again to give it more depth and to make my eye want to see the back of it. But overall, very, very innovative in such a small aquarium.
You know, Mike, the use of Inertifida is the pinkish plant is always that catch and draws so much our attention. The Walishi, the gets also the same color, or probably is not Walishi, but Rutala Vietnam. So I can always look to the picture and see if it is really Walishi or Rutala Vietnam.
It looks like Walichi, but for me, the worst part is the mini hole between the Walichi and the moss. You know?
Yeah. This is the thing, because it should be shorter, or move a little bit more to the Pinnatifida, because close to the Pinnatifida will make a transition, will make a very smooth transition coming to the background.
Yeah, and maybe a little bit lighter, the background a little bit lighter, because I can see a lot of mini roots on the cave, so, but you cannot see anything. So because the background is too dark, but I really like. And maybe a little bit more of details on the flat, the part of with the soil, with some moss details. Yeah, with moss details or mini stones. But I really like the idea. I was in shock when I saw it, because I was interesting.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's go.
Thanks, number 8 from Frank. So let's look to it.
Start, Mikey, if you want.
So you know, nice plant health. It's a little, it reminds me when I first see it, my inspiration reminds me of like a living plant wall.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit too flat. There's not as much depth. And it's a little, I think, the effect, if it could have been a little bit more effective if the plant species from the right had maybe been balanced a little bit more over to the left. And so I'm okay with framing it in and just keeping it viewed from the face like that. But again, we're not getting much depth with it. And then if we're going to use red plants, I think just for me, I like to balance a little bit more and having some off to the other area. Otherwise, my eye is just going straight to the red. But very, very interesting. I think being able to see and appreciate a little bit more of the wood. If I had more wood kind of, coming out of the scape itself to give it texture, for me, that would have given it more depth, as opposed to just being flat. But again, still a very pretty aquarium.
Yeah, but if you see the reflection of the corners,
yes,
you can see that. I think he started with another idea, or he or she. I don't remember exactly who did that time, but you can see that it has space. You can see the reflection, so you can see plants. So maybe the idea at the beginning was a little bit different, or I don't know. I think it was, but for sure the plants are.
Me, Frank, I think I would say lost a little bit the control on the growth of the plants, because for some reason when it started to place, he came with one idea, and then afterwards with the plants growing in such way or even falling, it kind of make a huge ball on the center of the tank. So I understand the idea. I really don't like the composition because that is too full. When even on the top, we could just trim it a little bit. I think somehow we start placing the plants. Then some reason it became full, but it didn't want to touch it that much. Because even on the sides, if we let it grow a little bit or try to make a little bit on contrast, it's just lack of definition. Because if we look closer to the tank, it's not even a ball. It's like we only have 5-10 centimeters on each side that is not filled with the plants. You see, but in general, all the composition is there. I would like to see a little bit more space on that, but this is my own taste. I don't like when we see that so full. At least some vanishing point. Even that, I think is Alternantera Rosenervik, or is a little bit big for this
it's
composition.
Yeah,
but in general, okay.
I like it, but the problem is this. Yeah.
It's not the true aquascaping tank. It's I remember to see one tank that was a big bowl and all the plants were attached. So when I looked at this, we have really a massive structure of.
It reminds you.
I don't know if it was that the idea for my.
I don't think so.
Already too full. I remember to see Frank tank from last or previous edition from 2020, and it was one of my favorites. And I was also expecting to see something from him in a really nice way and following that trend. And this year, probably my expectations were a little bit higher when I looked to it and say, well, it was not that I was expecting to see it. Probably it was that. The first impact is very important when we judge something. And here, it's just a lack of definition. So we just put the plants over here, over there. And then at a certain point, maybe it was not exactly that he wanted to create it, but probably it was already too late just to change anything.
Maybe, but he knows how to keep plants for sure. He knows how to keep the plants because it's crazy healthy.
Yeah, it's for sure.
Let's move on.
But in general, for an aquascaping contest, maybe live could be something that will really catch our attention, because
I don't remember the video.
Yeah, but in the picture is one thing, but maybe seeing live would be a completely different thing. So we don't know, and we need to have in mind all those tanks were prepared to be seen live in the exhibition, not in the picture. So
that is important,
something could be very tricky on that. So let's go for tank number 9. Also, tank is from Yele. It was the winner of the contest.
Yes.
Okay. Let me put this in the big screen so everybody can see it. I think this year we had two very strong tanks when what concerns to diorama. I think the way how this tank was created when I saw the artscape, it was really impressive how to do something like this in the 45, 27, 30 centimeters. It's a small tank, huh? And the way how we created the depth, of course, there is a few things in the wood, how the wood is placed. It looks like a line in the way he created. Maybe just place the wood in different direction would improve a little bit, but I'm just being picky because creating something like this in just small space is mind blowing. It is an amazing job, even with so many different plants. Maybe changing a little bit the path, don't be that circular way, could also improve a little bit, or even make a small way just going in between of the middle of the tank. But I am just trying to find something to complain, and it's difficult because the
But
tank is well done. I don't have nothing to say. It's a
nah, it's.
No,
I know he will with 2 months extra. That tank it would be amazing because I know Jelle he wants more Libitore the Rotara to give more
more
impact
volume
to
and
go,
more
yeah,
power.
more volume on the because he I know he since the very beginning he did it everything perfect. Do you remember that all the people when we saw the Hashcape for the first time we say okay we can skip the contest because and he did it very well. So I think it's just to say
But
congratulations, you are the winner.
I haven't seen so many tanks starting so well and
Yes.
not getting close. When we start adding plants, we're going to ruin it. But
Yeah.
we take it really good in this one. Mike, what you were saying?
What I was about to say is the the texturing and the layering of the plants. Here's almost, we commented on one of the other aquascapes about grouping plants together, but here there's using them a little bit more loosely, but the way it's done and incorporated with the hardscape harmonizes and works so well. And what pulls it together for me is also just the small texturing of the stones in the front and along the path. And something else that I like that I haven't seen a lot of is actually having the wood come across and actually bisect the path. I think that gives it such a natural feel as opposed to just having this clear path running down the aquarium. Good mastery of skills using kind of a 2/3 and a third proportions on the aquascape from right to left. I agree with Balbi, what she said, just if that Rotala had just a little bit more time to grow in and get a little bit more trimming. And I also agree with Filipe's comments too. I think on the right side, if there just been maybe another piece of wood to be more in the mid ground, since it's that line there. But again, like Filipe said, I'm just trying to pick it apart, and I'm having a hard time.
You are so picky, both.
Very picky. Because I think it is really well done for the 45 centimeters as well.
Extremely well done. Bravo.
So let's move.
Let's
So
go.
tank number 10.
Off.
So this is from
I'm in
Senske.
love with that.
And here we have the tank. So
I really love
we'll
that
start
tank.
about it.
Go
Start
ahead
about it.
because
I always trying to be a little bit picky on that. When I saw this tank, I love the way or the simple, all the things were placed, and it's also one of my favorites. However, I would like to see this tank with few months more. Because what is I miss a little bit because we have some kind of curtain on the back. The vanishing point is really well done, but I would love to see a little bit more volume on the stem plants. The way how the foreground or the bird, because we can see three parts on it. We have the first one, we have the foreground, then we have a little bit of path that guide us to the end, and then we have all the wood structure. The wood structure is well placed because all of them, in the way it's placed, is guidance always to the vanishing point. The only criticize, if we can call this criticize, some people love to see how it is because we can see the light through the stem plants, and that will also give more natural feeling. I prefer to see a little bit more volume because
I
when the
agree.
plants start to get volume horizontally, so they can start to embrace the wood somehow and make it more natural. And this is what I'm missing in this case. Not so tall plants on the right side coming to the vanishing point, but a smooth transition on there. The left side is okay, but a little bit more volume. But again, they only have 4 months, so
Yeah.
probably with some algae issues, some trying to get this set properly. I understand that having a tank with a new tank, new light, and trying to make this work because sometimes even for us we are so experienced and when we have a new tank, just to get the things balanced properly in the first months with a new light is difficult. So for them, they are probably experienced the equipment for the first time. Trying to pull it out and make it this work in such a nice way is mind blown. So those guys did an amazing job. The only just trying to be picky because everything about this tank I really
I can
like that.
I can be a little bit picky, eh? For
So be
me, the
picky.
only for me the only thing in that tank, because I really like it. I know it's just a question of time because the plants needs time to be more, to have more volume, to do trimming. So it is what it is. But for me, it would be perfect, Genti, if the layer of sand, it was a little, just the minimum expression, because you win a
You
lot
mean
of
on the front?
depth.
On the front.
Yeah, the sand, the white sand, just the minimum, because you help a lot that. But I have to say, because the picture, for me, the picture, that guy doing picture is so I was picky, Felipe.
I would not even consider to say that it's not in straight line on the front. The sand it should
Yeah.
be thinner. I don't want to go from there.
No,
Uh,
but it was just the only
everybody
thing that
knows
I think
I
it
think
was.
everybody knows what I have to say about the thin line, about
For sure.
the
For
sand being
sure.
hard. I
For
don't want
sure.
even to go there because if I try to
No.
find very negative points, I will find a lot. So I don't want
No,
to
no,
be
no,
so
no, no.
negative on that. I don't want to be so negative on that.
What do you
So
think about Mike?
Well, I think too. Again, it's when I look at it, it's very well, just kind of following some of the technical guidelines of the kind of a 2/3 and a third proportion. One side being a little heavier than the other. I agree with
Mm.
Philippe on the trimming of the plants to create a little bit more volume, and then just let that new growth on the top kind of wisp out and give you that silhouette that we like to see, that gives it that natural feel.
Mm.
Um, I'm personally not a big fan of doing the sand in the middle to the glass and then having soil to the right and left. For
Mm.
me, that's always a little bit of a distraction. So what Balbi was saying, I agree that when you do that, by having that very front layer of sand that's touching the glass, have that be as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
And in this example, and also too, as clean as possible. I think there's a little bit of a technique going on here with some of the soil or small stone in that sand to kind of texture it with the rest of the layout. But to me, that's always a little bit more of a distraction, because I'm just kind of seeing more down the middle of this scape, and that my eye is kind of going to that front sand. But overall, I like it. The wood layout's nice. The plant selection's very nice. And again, like Filipe said, you guys only had 4 months, so a little bit more time to mature would have taken this one to the next level.
Yes.
okay, so let's go for tank 11. This is from Joachim. I think is how it is pronounced, or at least that's right. And here we have. So I have seen. Let me start. I have seen this tank a few days ago. This tank, I think, is still running. Yeah? And I saw this tank a few days ago, and I must say that it's much better than in this picture. So what tells me that for some reason uh, they they try to do something in one direction and then they changed in the last minute or didn't have the time to make it work. For example, one of the things that catch so much my attention is that rock on the center. And it definitely screams for more volume because this tank, or even for the fake triangular shape, we need the volume to go on the background. So to fill it up a little bit more the space. I am not a big fan of the Pinati that was streamed mostly on this big piece of wood that is coming just one third because it is too much volume on it, and we lose a little bit. I would say not the proportion, but the shape we want to create. However, and being said, I saw the picture of this tank a few days ago, and it's not completely different. It made a huge difference just
It
to
made
grow on the
sense.
sand plant
It made
in the
sense.
plant.
Everything. So
The
that's
general
curious.
composition now is much better, but really much better. But anyway, it's a healthy tank. This is the
Yeah, it
first thing
is.
that we need to point out.
And
It's a very healthy.
he
He has
plays up
an
very well
idea.
with the size.
He has one idea that is fixed in
Uh-huh.
his mind how to make it. However, for me, it looks a little bit an unfinished job. So it needs
Yeah.
time. This time needs time. And again, congratulations, Joaquin, because I saw it a few days ago, and the tank is much better for
Now
sure. Really.
I want to see it now.
I just need to. I look on the group. You're going to see it there, and I'm pretty sure, guys, uh, you're going to see it. It is really different from what we have here. So, Bobby, you want to say something about it, or Mike?
Yeah, I will.
I say
So
this.
I would have. It looks a little bit two-sided to me. Again, here we have the sand off to the right, and then that technique there to the left. So where what I would have done there on the left side, that it's just kind of, again, it's kind of a flat line. So, and it just kind of almost looks like a stair step where it drops down. And then it transitions. I think if there'd been a little bit more of I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, not blending, but if that soil on the left, it looks like hemianthus there, if that had been kind of maybe tapered back, a little bit shallow, a little bit narrower in the front, tapering back a little bit, and then possibly a little bit more use of texturing of some rock just to kind of make that transition. And then again, a rock to the back left, something just even subtle back there to where I'm seeing it as a whole, whereas I can almost draw a line right down the middle, and I'm looking at almost two separate scapes in a way. And I think like what Filipe was saying, again, is if the stem plants had just had a little bit more time, very, very well maintained aquarium, extremely healthy. Much credit to the aquascaper for just overall, aquarium maintenance. The plant tank, the husbandry and everything is impeccable.
So we can move.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, let's go. Tank 12. This is from Johan. 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 I tried my best. I tried
Okay.
my best. Sorry, I didn't say it well.
I don't
So
try. I don't want to
I'll be
try.
really fast on this one. When I looked at this composition, I missed something there. I understand the clear idea of just placing the wood, um, just being the more minimalist as possible in the scape. But sometimes we need a little bit more. For example, just an idea. If you just place some Juncus repens just on the center of the tank, or a taller air grass, or something that can break a little bit and try to not to blend. What I was trying to say is to blend the plants with the hardscape. So
Hmm.
it needs something on the center just to pull our eyes a little bit following the wood. I understand the composition is nice how it is. However, I think the wood needs something that makes the full transition between the hardscape and the planted area. Just
Hmm.
that. But
Yeah,
this is my opinion.
all the weight is coming to the right, so you need something
No,
to
the
mix it all.
direction is okay, but we
Yeah,
don't
for me
see
it makes,
transition.
yeah.
You
In
don't
my
see the
case,
transition between the plants and the wood. So it needs something there. I'm not saying that we need something attached to the wood. I need something that gives a slight volume, whatever, but to make
mm,
the wood belong to the hardscape. It looks like
mm,
a little bit sterile when we look to it. We need something on that for me.
You
yeah.
know,
I don't know,
let me say something. I really, and I agree with you, Philippe. This one was so close because being so minimalist and just the restraint used here in this layout is very commendable. But I agree, like a hair grass or something just to that left side, just a little bit something there would really have complemented the driftwood. And then I really, this is one too, when you're going so minimalist like this, and that with the right fish selection, granted, this is an aqua, it's not based so much on the fish, but that's where,
Mm,
again, like a micro rasbora, like a little jelly bean tetra, just something, just a very subtle fish, small group of fish in here done
yeah.
appropriately would have just put it right over the top, because it's so, again, so minimal and so understated. I just have a great appreciation for the less is more, but I do agree that it needed to see a little something in the back there, just making us want it more.
do
Mm,
you know what I said about one tank was too much? And it needs to go for the simple way.
yeah.
Turning something simple is difficult because there is always something that we can miss, and this one is just a transition. Something, or maybe the plant is there, it's not growing the tall enough just to feel a
Yeah,
little
you
bit,
can
or
see
maybe the
the
wood
plant.
placing
Mm,
together because we need to make it this work, and the wood itself is it's like it was just put it there. We need the transition as a little bit
yeah.
more detail or different plants, something like that.
Yeah,
But
and
it
that
is
kind
good.
of tanks, it works. They work much better in person. The minimalist, because you can see that tank in person, and it's so relaxed and everything is in place. But for a contest, it's you must to go a little bit more always, because it's
Not sometimes a little bit more. It's just you need to make the difference. It's difficult to explain probably what we are saying, and even Mike tried to reinforce somehow what I was trying to say in the beginning. Uh,
mm,
Sometimes when we go for less is more, but it still needs something that to make the transition work from one side to the other. And
hmm.
this is like the Leocaris or some airgrass style, something that will blend and make it like
Yeah, no, but they are, they are here, but it's they
yeah,
are
but it's not that
doesn't
much.
have,
We need
yeah,
a
you
little
can
bit there.
It just
time
needs some height.
as
Yeah.
always.
So let's go for tank 13.
Let's
So
go.
this tank is from Johan, and I think Johan or was really too busy. Johan is a good aquascaper, and but I think he turned itself for marine, and
Yeah,
he's doing marine stuff, and probably too busy with the child and everything, and
yeah, it was
he is not really so proud about this cave. He
no.
told me, but
Me too.
well, he tried and he tried to make it work, but probably some reason he faced some issues, and of course, time is very limited,
Yeah.
and he couldn't made it better. However,
Is
we
that
are just judging what he
is that
sent to us.
is that a terrestrial plant on the top right in the back?
Fitonia. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fitonia.
Okay.
I don't
Maybe,
know if
yeah,
he's doing the.
maybe he wants to build some part of on immerse, because the tanks
Yeah,
they
you
move the
see.
tanks for the show.
Got it.
Yeah,
So
you see one. You see one thing, Mike, is
yeah.
look for the coat of algae we can see. I
Mm.
believe that for some reason this tank was off water. You see, from that one edge that we see on the more or less in the middle, there is some coat of algae down, and we don't see nothing above. So probably
Yeah.
this tank
Yeah.
was considered to make some paludarium,
Yeah,
a
mini
different
paludarium.
idea, and he was running against time somehow,
Mm.
or I don't know. And then in the end, we had to change everything. He had to send a picture, whatever, and
Yeah.
he flooded the tank and took the picture. But
Yeah,
it's a pity
like
because
the
this
rock
guy is a
work.
really good aquascaper. Huh?
Yeah.
I like the rock work though. The intention I could see where it started, and I could see where it could have gone.
Okay.
So let's move. So we have now tank 14 from Johnny. And this
Fairly.
one, I must say that this tank on the picture, it was not, I would say, this is not really a good picture of this tank. Uh,
No.
Somehow, I don't know where or editing or something related with the color profile. Everything seems to be a little bit too green, saturated, and even
Yeah.
the moss that is on the center looks like it was burned. Somehow it's yellowish, but in the video,
Right.
because the video, everything makes sense and the tank looks very healthy. Even you see the Monte Carlo on the foreground. Uh, it looks yellowish, but in the video it's not. In the video, this green is this is overexposed. So he was for sure not so lucky with the picture he sent us, because this tank really is colorful, is beautiful, but the
Yeah.
editing for something, some reason didn't work out. And this is what I usually say to people: don't try to edit that much your pictures, just crop it and send it. Because probably if you are using any software for editing, if it changed the profile for some reason, what is supposed to be overexposed can be like burned, like yellowish. And if you guys go back on the video that we did to announce the top 15, you can see this tank is very healthy. It's not in this shape, and the tank looks good. For me, the way of the plants were placed, they are well. I'm not so much into that so much red on the in the top down left corner. So probably I would prefer to see a blending like he did on the middle of those two branches, but ending on green. So green, a little bit of mixing, and then the red would make a little bit more sense than having all that volume of red on that corner. Because when you use a lot of red, it draws too much our attention. And this is an empty space. And since it's an empty space, it goes a little bit against all the rules because it's a triangular shape. The focal point should be one third at the right, and this point is a little bit messy on that because our eyes is drawn to the left when the volume is one third. So our, the plant's placement probably is not that the best. Ending with the green, a little bit of blend with some color, and then close to the higher part, having the reds there. This is what I would do if I was in this position, and try to make a little bit of sprinkle of red on the right side as well, so we can have our eyes focused in one focus on the right side, one third, and then smoothly coming to the left.
I would have, real quick, Filipe, I would on the, excuse me, on the, I would have done a little bit, I agree with everything that you just said, but a little bit more rock texture, just a little bit in there and a little bit again, to the left, just to kind of make everything harmonize together. And then this looks like, I can't tell if it's Cypress Helferi or what that is.
Yeah, it's Cypress. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that could have been, if I could bring that back around to the left and just have a little bit of that wisping out over the red on the left there, that would have, again, it kind of brings the whole thing together. And my eye isn't splitting between the red and the cypress. It's kind of, so again, my points, I think it's a very, I like the red. I like, but I agree it needs to be mixed in with some other plants. A little bit more texturing with some of the rock work, and then bring that cypress around, and I think it definitely makes a statement. So just a few points there.
Yep, completely agree. Bobby, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Or
No,
okay.
I don't have anything to.
Okay, so let's move. Tank 15. This is from Juzal. Juzal Canico. I don't know if it's the right name. So we have all the list of plants, but you guys can check the other video. So we have, you can even make a pause on that. So you can check all the list. And Juzal here, he has used a lot of plants. And this is what I said before. Using a lot of plants sometimes is not a wise decision because it becomes messy. I understand that sometimes when we look to escape, we try to find those tiny details here and there, and it's good. Uh, but in the way how it is placed, it feels, in my opinion, okay, and it feels with the lack of a little bit maintenance, a little bit trimming, a little bit definition. We have plants all over the place, and we having so much plants doesn't mean that we bring all the things together, and we need harmony on that. And this is what this tank needs. Maybe use a little bit less. This is not a nursery tank. When we think in a contest, we need to think wisely which plants we're going to use and not just place them all over the tank. Okay,
Yeah.
that alternate in the front should be avoided. It's definitely too big in comparison with all the other plants. But if we take that out, probably the tank will look a little bit better, but still a little bit clumsy. Sorry, but it's
No,
too
you
much.
cannot. You cannot see the structure. I don't know the play. I don't remember the hardscape for sure, and I think it's good for the comments to to remember. But you cannot see anything. You cannot see which part it belongs to which part. You cannot. You it's you cannot understand the way. So it's. I think I
Yeah,
completely agree that.
he doesn't have a fixed idea. I think he
Yeah,
built the structure and he placed the plants over there. And the thing he
yeah,
let it
it's
grow.
overgrown.
Maybe in his head it makes sense. For me, I
Yeah, for
am
sure.
struggling just to try to find the plants, try to look and have a real focal point of view and try to make it work. But it is so much. It's too much in one single picture for
And
me.
also too the the weight of everything. When I look at it, everything's extremely balanced and proportionate. So there's nothing really off. If I look at it, the path is pretty much in the middle.
Mm.
Plant left, plant right, moss down the middle. Wood right, wood left. So there's no shift. So try and it gets back to one of the just some of the fundamentals, the basics of the golden ratio, the golden triangle, whatever just to kind of thinking of your proportions a little bit too. I think if start with that, and then I agree with what Balbi and Filipe were saying.
Mm.
Okay, so let's move on. Tank 16.
Go,
Got it.
Kire.
Yeah, and I will start. So we'll make the same way. So we'll make it faster. From this tank, as I understand from the video, it's probably wood coming outside of the tank, and just changing the rules of last minute, not bringing the tank to the exhibition, and we had to take a picture of the tank. So probably going to lose a little bit of details or something that was created uh, afterwards to give the impact because the structure itself it's okay. I don't like to see that rock because it's get
Mm.
drawn too much my attention on that. It shouldn't be there. Or if for
Same.
some reason the rock is there for any reason at all, or to hold the structure down, at least a little bit of moss over it will at least disguise because we have something gray that is not even the same rock structure that we have underneath, close to the sand. So it means it draws too much attention. Just use some moss, try to disguise it somehow, will make a huge difference. Then
Mm.
um, it has a lack of definition because we have a lot of volume, mostly on the right side. So the Wallishi, I think it's Wallishi on the background is used there. It should not be there. So
Mm.
some plants are not placed wisely. The microzorum probably is not well there. I would be prefer to see some small anubias just to give a little bit more details, because
Mm.
at certain point now the tank has only 45 has only 4 months, but in the future will be a volume of plants over there. It will not make too much sense. But anyway, it is a nice tank. It needs some definition, covering that rock, and probably live this tank would be much better with some wood coming outside of the tank to be more impressive.
Yeah. For me, I cannot see anything. Only the rock, the middle. So
Yeah.
it's because I like the way, you know, I really like that boots and the way they are, the position of the boots with that, like a sheep, but it, it with that rock you cannot see anything else. I
You
really
look
want to
Yeah,
see
into
that tank without it. Yeah.
one thing that I see too is the two rocks that I do see look like different kind of rocks.
yeah,
They look like
exactly.
different types.
Well, yeah.
They're different colors and different
Two.
textures.
Yeah.
So if you were going to do that, which I would not recommend, you would want to have, you know, multiple pieces of both types of rocks to blend it together. So I just see the two types of rock, and with the one rock that Balbi's referring to, it may have been weighting or holding the wood down, but if that could have laid down and more horizontally
Yeah.
instead of pointing up vertically,
Maybe flat.
it
Yeah.
would have created a little bit more negative space, and you could have put some moss on it. That could have given you some depth right there. And then
Really
possibly gone with more, you know, just some other points on the where the mass is, or you know, where we just don't have the moss on top of the wood, just to give it some, again, a little bit more space and depth.
This is why when I looked to it, I thought probably the rock was placed just to hold something, because it doesn't make too much sense to place
Yes.
the rock like
No.
that, mostly in the center of the tank.
If
So
you
let's
are
move
looking
to
the live stream, please tell us why the rock is there.
yeah,
If it's
probably not. Oh, so tank 18 is from Leon.
Leon,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, here we have the tank. I
Very
will
nice.
start and make it very fast because I like really much this layout. It's more or less like in the same way how I was
It's
doing
kind
my
of your
layout.
style, Philippe. It's kind of your
Yeah,
style.
it's kind of my
Yeah.
style in the last few years when I tried to blend a lot of stem plants, because by looking to the list of plants, yes, use really a lot of stem plants and try to mix it and blend them together. That gives a very natural expression, natural feeling to the layout. However, I have just being picky that the background needs some growth, because we have all the green stuff there. We can see some slight orange and reddish coming and popping out on the background, but we need volume. So mostly more on the left side top, so we can enhance the tree shape layout, make it all the colorful part, and getting fading when we get to the right side and bottom part. But in general, Leon did an amazing job. I already have seen some of his works, and this one, looking, I will even move a little bit one slide. We can see for the list of plants. I was impressed when I checked the list. Yes, use really a lot of plants in one single scape, and without being too messy, because he has a clear idea, and this is what is important when we do aquascaping. We have a clear idea. No matter how many plants we use, if they don't shade each other, so they must blend together. They must work together, and this tank was really well done, using all those elements, because it works as one single piece. So it's very natural. I love it.
yeah, still running, eh? I'm looking the
Or, yeah,
pictures
I the pictures.
and it's beautiful.
No,
Yeah.
So, you want to say something or we move?
no, it is. It's got just an incredibly natural feel to it. Again, using all those plant species working harmoniously together like that. Again, this was one of my favorites as well. And I agree with Philippe. If we could add a little bit more volume, a little bit more of that, maybe that's a valve or something coming up. If you can hit the top and kind of bring that over the top a little bit, almost giving it that, it's going to complement the flow of that driftwood. But you know, that's just some minor picky points there. But other than that, just a beautiful layout.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move tank 19. So it's from Marcel from Germany. And let's look to this one. I will start when I saw this one for the first time. I'm not a huge fan of very warm colors, and that background draws too much my attention on it. But I think it makes some sense if you want to take or represent some kind of sunset or something like that. However, for a layout itself, the way all this placed, the two sides, For me, when I looked with this, it's kind of a little bit symmetric on the center. Um, I like the idea, the clean image of how it is made. However, I would prefer to see a little bit more or something else that was coming on the backgrounds, mostly on the sides, that will bring the hardscape together. Because it looks like it is two massive structures with just epiphyte plants and just that. We have some details on the front, but maybe bringing something a little bit on the background that can, like you are looking to a bridge, but then suddenly on the background we see something growing there, and we don't see it. This is just a layer of sand and
Yeah,
nothing
the
more.
corners. I think the corners.
Yeah,
And for
the
me, the
corners bring
same.
it to the
Yeah,
center.
with
Yeah,
something on the
missing
corners,
something
and for
there.
sure for me, the color is the thing that I would change. I like the floating plants. I like the idea, and but yeah, I you miss some details, and
Yeah,
yeah. Mm.
And I think too, again, I just had to think back a little bit because so many of these scapes that I don't see fish in, but as you mentioned, these layouts were originally meant to be moved and transported. So at that time, obviously, if you have fish in there to take those out, it's not wise to do that. So maybe in the future, if it's a situation like this, and hopefully it's not. Hopefully in the future, these aquariums, the event does happen and they get to be seen in person. That maybe there's a little bit of a thought of putting fish into it. I think it's kind of an innovative attempt with the backlighting. I don't want to see that really becoming a trend. I think it does kind of take away from the overall feel of the aquascape, although I know what the scaper's intention was there with that, but I think it just takes away from a natural feel. So if we were to use this yellow, it's a little bit too much like a lemon to me, a little bit too
you know,
yellow, maybe
Mike.
a little
Mike,
softer.
the yellow thing is like very personal taste,
Yeah,
and when you're talking about so many judge, uh, you can get a risk of getting less points because people hate the yellow part or the red or the blue.
hmm
So this is why we use white or black, trying to be more less color present as possible. Otherwise, we can get a risk of getting some negative
yeah. I
feedback.
think it can take away from the scape, like you said, just because again, what we're we're judging someone's art or creation, and when
Mm.
people come to you like they do a lot of times with you, and they'll show you a picture of their aquascape, and they'll say, "Well, what do you think?" And my first reply is, "Well, what do you think?" Because that's really all that matters, Now, if you want to get my input on, judging from a contest perspective, that's what we're talking about today. But ultimately, it's an individual's creation, So you're happy with it and you enjoy it, and that's what this hobby is all about. But yeah, like you had a good point. It's a big risk when you kind of decide to use different colors
Can
for
we?
backgrounds.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah. So let's move. We're going to tank 20. So it's from Marcin. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
from Poland. So here we have. I will kick this one. So the only little bit complaint that I would have about this tank, because this tank is gives us a lot of depth, also with a colorful background, but it's not so yellowish. It's just a little bit of warm.
Yeah, just a
It's like
touch.
the sunrise. It's a little bit different, but I would like to see a little bit more of the hardscape, a little bit of the rocks, mostly on the middle part, not everything so covered. But however, it is nice how we did the transition. He has
Yeah.
all that Monte Carlo, mix it up with some moss. So he has the smooth transitions guide us towards the back. It's perfect. However, I miss a little bit of the contrast. When I mean the contrast, a little bit of the rocks or the hardscape. But this is just me being a little bit picky. I don't want to talk about a little bit the gravel or the details on the gravel. I think that straight line on the front is not so well done, but I don't want to be that picky on that. I like how he hands in the V shape. Not so sure about all that line of wood pointing
Yeah.
out in the same direction. It was more or
For me,
less
it's
the
the
same
most disturbing
direction.
thing.
It was more or less like yellow when he placed the wood more or less in the row. Okay, I will
Mm.
not be that picky, but just showing a little bit more of the hardscape or rocks just in the
Yeah.
middle will give it a little nice contrast and more natural feeling, not full,
Yeah.
totally full.
Completely agree.
Real quick,
Okay, so
just real quick before we switch. So I agree with what Filipe said. I think just again a little bit more like on that piece of wood that you have on the top right there. Not something so heavy, but it's the wood, the way they're lined up, it's a little bit flat. So if we had just a little bit of wood, or like Filipe was saying, a little bit more of the hardscape, a little bit towards the middle of the aquarium. We're already doing a great job of achieving depth with the path and the way the light in the aquarium was backlit to it. But just and I think you also did just to coin what Filipe, his term he uses. I think you did a great job to achieve volume in the back and towards the back, and also still maintaining the V, and then having the refinement of those plants which we like, where you can see the detail of the plants. So very, very well done.
Yeah.
okay, so let's move 21. This is from Mark. And here we have, I will start very fast on this one. There is a very clear master where it is placed. I think it's maple leaf stones that is placed on the left corner. We have a really massive volume. However, the wood that is placed, for me, it doesn't follow the proper direction, because it's something that in the end is pointing in the opposite direction, and we it breaks the flow, so it doesn't make it work completely. Of course, in the background, we need some plants to grow a little bit taller, or at least to
Yeah.
enhance a little bit the triangular shape. And also, I miss some plants that can make transition between the rocks and the foreground carpet. So something there that
Yeah.
can work and make a little bit more
Yeah.
of detail.
Yeah. For me, something to mix it all, to do
Yeah,
something
to blend
together,
it
because
and
it
make it in
seems,
one single one.
yeah, the plants are okay, the idea, the hardscape, but it's like something to mix, to fix, to put everything on the place together, so for me. But
I think the
yeah,
biggest
I
mistake
cannot
is when the
see.
wood was placed,
Yeah.
it doesn't make the idea or the flow be so
Yeah.
visible, so strong.
Yeah.
So probably struggle with that and end up by creating this, because it's not a clear line. We don't have a clear line on that.
Exactly. That
So
is what I want to
you're,
say. Thank you,
I think
Felipe.
the aquascaper was there's a little something that's kind of speaking to me. That's on the left there, on top of the maple leaf stone, where it looks like some hemianthus right there. So it reminds me of, if you're coming up like a cliff, and then there's the grass on the top right there. I think if that, again, with what Filipe and Balbi were saying with the wood, if it had been where it related to the rock better, it almost looks like that wood is like a root or something that's grown, and there's a relationship between it and the rock. But that little detail you had going there with that, that HC, if that could be maybe carried on throughout the theme of the aquascape a little bit better, would have kind of brought the whole thing together. And then just another side note, me personally, I'm just not a big fan of seeing epiphytes, your bucephalandas or anubias used so close to the surface of the water. Being most of the time a little bit more of a low light plant, it just looks more natural to me to see them more mid or down towards the bottom.
Okay, let's move
Okay.
on. 22 from Mark.
Let's go for rocks.
I don't try to say his last name, but anyway, so we have a tank. Mark is one of the members of Vivarium, and very helpful, very nice guy, and it's kind of
Amazing.
hobby for him. And but I think Vivarium is sin, so it's what he really likes to do it, and always try to make his own aquascapes. He has some amazing, crazy ideas in place. I have seen it in live, and he's always trying to make those kind of structures. And this layout for me is something, or it went wrong for some reason. He had the structure, he had a clear mind, and then in the end, just place a little bit of moss in there. What I really don't like to see, and it will give immediately a clear image, is the soil that is sprinkled or mixed with the sand. Would be better just to vacuum that a little bit and place a new sand over. At least will give a very clear image in the end when you take the picture. Probably he was going to do that in the exhibition. I don't know, but the thing is, it's a very simple layout. Of course, just a mod attached to the rock structure. But of course, I would like to see a little bit more. When we compare to the other tanks, it's still a little
Yeah.
bit more.
It needs a little bit more attention.
More plants or different things.
Yeah, for sure.
No,
I
I like the when I first look at this, I really I like the overall feel. I like the the photograph. I like the photograph. I like the way the surface of the water is a little bit more turbulent, and it so artistically I can that really works well with this rock layout for me. It kind of gives me that rocky kind of has kind of a Nordic feel to it. So when I look at this, as like as an aquascape and a piece of art, it creates there's a certain feeling and a certain vibe with it that I like. I agree with Filipe. If we could just have cleaned up the substrate, the a little bit better attention to detail with the use of the smaller stones and the texture stones. And I really think that if the use of maybe a dwarf hairgrass in the back. I don't know if the moss was such a good choice or the species of moss was a good choice, but the overall hardscape is very nice. I think that detailed with some hairgrass and then possibly a different moss that wants to grow or work its way downward would have really added to this. But the overall impression, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's move on. We have 23 from Martin. I think this is related with Game of Thrones, or as I remember, probably from the video.
Yeah, it's like an explosion, Yeah.
So it was a theme behind the project. The only thing that I am missing here a little bit, of course, is full. But it was probably too much use of moss. Maybe just leave some parts not covered. Will make a little bit more sense because less is more. Mostly when we try to be predominant with a lot of moss, it's just to leave some parts without it. Of course, drinking it and make it completely like a coat on the rock will make more impressive. So will be more aggressive. We can see the edge of the rocks, and of course, probably a different background, not the black, because we can see some of the shadows on the mid part or mid front part of the tank. The white background will make a huge difference and probably pop up even more this all greenish aquascape.
Yeah, it makes. I think that is one of the times that it changed completely when you saw in person, because if you see like that, it's flat because you cannot see the volumes, the texture, the layers, but the idea it's okay. I like the black. Everything is in black, but it's I miss volume and layers and more.
But I think white will be more on a theme because winter is coming. So for the big fans of Game of Thrones, all that white coming there and sprinkle a little bit of sand, wow, will be.
Yeah.
No,
winter is here now. Winter is here. Okay.
Do you want to say something or we can move?
Let's move to the next one.
Let's move. We have tank 24. This is from Martin. Here we have. I like this aquascape. The way that how we place it likes like a fairy tale story, something like that.
Yep.
I like the use of Lubelli on the front. That bright green somehow. When I look to it, it looked like going outside in the garden, and we see all the way. Uh, okay, the path is okay. The bridge. Probably I would not cover that much with a lot of moss. I would rather see it with more wood, a little bit more visible. Because when we try to fill it up and fill more with all the plants, we start get more volume and we start losing a little bit on the contrast. The sides with the reds are okay. Drive us always to the center is well done. And just taking a little bit of the moss, probably in some parts of the wood, would make a huge difference. But in the end, it's a nice job. I really like it. It's healthy and very clean. Maintenance well done. Congratulations, Martin.
Yeah. It needs time, as always. Because
You know,
I really like the mix of Rotara because it's using Era, Ara, and La Luguilla. The Lobelia is still with the immerse. The leaves are, but yeah, it needs time. But I really like to the idea, the mix.
The
It's
idea,
very very romantic. It's so romantic.
yeah.
you know, I
So,
made a comment earlier about, you know, I'm not personally always a big fan of having the sand
Yeah,
in the middle, but
I didn't know this about you.
but here it is so well done because the aquascaper used the smaller stones to texture it in and make that transition. So this is
Blends
a very
nice.
very nice technique on how they did this. So I'm not just seeing the path in the middle; it's harmonizes and blends very well with the balancing of the aquascape. So
Yeah.
very nice, very well done for this style.
Mm.
okay, so let's move another one. 25. We are quite getting close to the end because there is some missing numbers. So, so 25 is from Michael. So when I saw this for the first time, I thought of, well, but I am seeing a horse over there on the left side. Is a thematic thing. When I look to the left, you see, it looks like a horse head on the wood. It was probably
Yeah.
just my imagination, huh?
No,
But
no, no, no. I can see it.
you can see it now. So, but in general, the composition it is well done. This is
Yeah,
what I said before about covering or not covering all the wood, because
I completely
when we
agree.
look, sometimes it's good when we see some driftwood because it gives contrast and it looks also more natural. Because when we try to cover everything, it does not make too much sense. I like the composition. That is a straight line. What Aquascaper wanted to do. Maybe, of course, when the picture was taken, it was a few days before we sent or the take tank to the exhibition. So probably the plants on the corners they will grow a little bit more. And
Hmm.
also, I like to go to see that is the foreground is not completely full. So you see some gaps on there, and also that brings some natural feeling to the layout. So in general composition, taking the horse head from the layout, just my imagination. I like the composition itself. There is a straight line, straight idea, and I think it's well executed.
Yeah, from it's it's not because I completely agree with you. I can see the horse, but I really like the plant selection.
Hmm.
He makes Marsilea, some I don't remember exactly the plant. I really like it. I will try to find it. So I really like, but I all the time I see the horse here.
No,
I'm
it's very,
sorry.
We
it's
cannot see it anymore. So
I didn't see until Felipe pointed it out, but I do like it's a very interesting use of the wood, the angles. Um,
Mhm.
it's not what you classically see, but it works
Mm.
very well because of the roots and the wood in the middle, kind of making the transition from the left to the right. Really ties those two sides together, so that kind of wabi sabi unorthodox
yeah,
use of the wood just really it pulls it together and works very very well. And again, just a very
Yeah.
nice use of the detail plants and them harmonizing together in the foreground and midground.
Mm.
I think the background, the way this aquarium was lit in the back, was well done. I kind of like the mirroring effect that we're getting up there on that upper left side,
Mm.
and the way the ripples in the water. So it's a very nice photograph as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the blue thing that we can see on the background is a fading. This is all a question of taste, if you like it or not. I think it works well in somehow because always the blue is blended or being seen so much time in underwater scenes. So blue, white, black always brings something extra. The
Mm.
yellow more if you are in a fantasy or a diorama scape.
The plant
So
that I didn't remember the name, it's gratiola. Gratiola.
which one?
The plant that I really like it. It's not
Ah,
very
okay, the
used
Gratiola, yeah.
plant, but you can see gratiola. I really like that
I already have used
the plant selection.
I have used on the before. it is nice. It's like kind of Rutala indica or Rutala, yeah, Rutala indica. This stays straight with a very pointy leaves. So 27 from Ruben. I
Mm-hmm.
remember this tank. This tank was made by Ruben, and from the video you can see that we have wood coming outside of the tank. From the video, the tank. If I had to judge from the picture or judge from the video, I would give complete different score because
Mm.
we need to explain one thing. The judge, the only thing they receive to sorry, the only thing they receive to judge is this.
Yeah.
They have the tank, the number, and a spreadsheet that they will put their votes. Okay, because the video came afterwards, so we put it all together in one stream. And in this time from Ruben, the wood outside would made a huge difference because we are talking about rimless tank. When we look to it, the wood coming outside, we have that natural feeling that embraces and bring us to inside of the tank with a flow. Here,
Mm.
there is scattered on the top. So it means we need to judge from what we have
Yeah.
underwater. And underwater, unfortunately, even looking nice, it needs a lack, it needs some definition in some parts.
Yeah.
But I would avoid to use epiphyte plants just on the edge of the wood. It makes more sense in the bold part of it or on the knots where we have
Mm.
the junctions of the wood. It makes more sense to use there than on the tips, like he has used. It doesn't make too much sense for me, but in general composition, it is okay. It's nice tank. It's a very
Mm-hmm.
natural feeling. Needs something on the background that fill it up a little bit more of the space and give a little bit more on the contrast and probably trim a little bit that moss so
Yeah.
we can see in between it. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's that is the point. It's a little bit that left part. It's a little bit messy, and that mini piece of wood that is in the front is too straight.
Hmm.
Can you see it? But for the rest of the selections, the plant selection is okay, and it is what it is. We just can see and can vote that image. It's a pity because we cannot see the
And the
rest,
top
but
part.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
okay
Mike is
for
not
me.
here. Mike is not here, so we're going to move.
We going to
Tank
28.
28. 28. Was done by Samira. And
Mm-hmm.
looking to it, we have similar to the one that we have seen before. Let me add Mike
Yeah.
because he just went for a minute. So here we have the classic bridge. We have seen one aquascaper also with the same idea. I don't know if they exchange some information between them, but it's similar that we have some two nice ideas or close ideas
Hmm.
in this one, even on the plants on the background and everything, kind of more or less like they match. I think this one has a little bit more natural feeling, mostly because of the foreground. The
Yeah.
falling piece of wood gives a little bit more of detail, and since we can see through it, and we have all those roots coming on the
Mm-hmm.
background from the top, it gives like that fairy tale feeling and some mystery on it.
Hmm.
Also, I like the use. I don't know if this is Sagittaria that comes from the right side.
It looks
Uh,
like.
it looks like some Sagittaria.
Hmm.
That's broadleaf in a very small tank will help us to bring some kind of proportion because when we use something that is broadleaf, mostly when we look at the foreground and compare the thickness with the Eleocardis with the Sagittaria, for example, always bring that closer and then move it backwards, giving depth to the tank. The use of Netifide is great. I like how
Hmm.
it's pointing down. And in general, the layout looks very, very, very nice.
I really like the mix on the bridge, the mix with the moss and the Cuba. So I think everything is perfectly blended. But yeah, for sure, the Sagittarius on that right part, it makes it lose a little bit the ¿cómo se dice? Wait.
Dime la palabra. Dime,
Oh, las dimensiones, the dimensions.
the
So
proportion.
you
The proportion.
yeah, Yeah, the
The
proportions
scale,
are, yeah, you
ratio.
lose everything. Yeah, it's the only
Yeah,
thing
looks
because
beautiful.
it's so romantic and healthy. I really like the touch, the color touches. Maybe the big pinatifi on the front, maybe I will change it, but I really like it.
But you
It's
see that the
super
penetrative is
healthy.
bigger and then getting smaller. So it
Yeah,
gives,
that's
And I
it's
think
like
I think it goes
Sagittaria. When we have something big, moving small to the backwards, it gives
mm,
depth to it. So I like it in
mm,
the way it is.
And I think for
yeah,
me, for the scale, it kind of because it's a little bit heavier or big, as Balbi was saying, but the way it kind of balances out with the vowel on the right, just proportionally to scale, the weight
mm,
of the leaf size of those plants kind of helps frame everything together.
mm,
Um, so very nice. It works very well.
yeah.
Okay. So let's
Congrats,
move
Amira.
to 29. So this is from Sam. I must say that this year it was a kind of weird because Sam won last year.
Mm,
We always have that big expectations when
yeah.
someone win, what he's going to do next year, and this year I didn't get it because he has used some Hygrophila siamensis or stricta, so he has some really big plants or big leaves on there. I understand that he wants to give some proportion on it, but he missed something mostly on the volume on the background. I think yes, use some how we call that plant is
Potamogeton on the back.
Otamagai, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
See.
not giving the volume that he needs. He needs something there, some maybe some Ciper or some Valisneria nana, so even some Aleocaris or even Elantium tenellum would give some
Mm,
wild Juncos. He needs something.
yeah.
He needs
But for me, it's not the most distraction part. So I can understand because it's the vanishing part. I like the way with the boots, but for me, distracting a lot that two echinodorus, on the corners.
Echinodorus.
I
It's not Echinodorus. It's
what
Hygrophila
is
siamensis
this?
probably.
But the
Hygrophila
leaf
siamensis.
the leaf are
Yeah,
brown,
Hygrophila
Felipe.
siamensis or Hygrophila stricta. Let me check on the back. I think it's Hygrophila stricta.
Ah, yeah, I can see. Yeah, but I don't know why I see the leaf
Let's
so round.
see. Hygrophila pennatifida. It's not even mentioned there. Cryptocorin.
I don't know. It
Anyway, but it's
makes,
not even mentioned there.
yeah. But for
Anyway,
me, I really like that part. It's like you cannot see the end, so it's an endless tank. But for
I
me,
like that.
that I don't understand. I have to ask to them why.
it's something
What do you
weird. It's
think,
something
Mike?
missing there.
Well,
Yeah.
I like what you're seeing, Bobby, and it kind of looks like it goes on, and you have that distance, and I like the way the photo was taken and the
Mm.
perspective of the wood uh,
Yeah.
that I see a little bit, but I think and I like there's the element of it being a very natural kind of loose, wabi sabi kind of feel to it, but I think a little bit more detail in the foreground,
Mm-hmm.
and some other elements in that foreground just to give us some depth.
Mm.
Uh, possibly even, it's in the just maybe even little sand or rock, and then mixing that in with the glosso, just to give it. I just kind of see the front, the back. I'm not seeing much of a transition taking place, but
Mm.
I
um,
think somehow he wanted to create a very natural feeling by just
Yeah,
blending plants
yeah,
together.
for
Look,
sure.
but glossostigma, if you don't trim it low, it tries
Mm.
to get a little bit leggy. So it's a very weird in the way it is. So something was missing here. I
Yeah.
don't know. So anyway, let's move to another one. We go for 30. I think we
Yes.
only have three tanks remaining. 30 is for Sonia. Um, so here we have. I like the way how the wood is placed.
mhm.
She's looking for a triangular composition. Probably not so sure about all the wood is pointing in the same direction. maybe just laying down to the front will give some hard edges coming to you that leads us to the background. Um, the foreground plants need a little bit time because we see that some are reaching one height and then they don't follow the triangulation itself. I would love to see something on the middle, something pointing out on the middle, maybe some Juncos, the nylon, something that can give some, I would say, wild look and match a little bit or contrast a little bit with the wood. Just place that on the shadow. But in general, I like the composition.
Hmm.
Not so sure about the use of the wood. Probably just laying down a little bit of wood will give it a different effect to it. So,
I agree.
what do you guys think about
No,
it?
I add one quick thing. It's just, and it's this is not easy to do either. The technique of having that small area of rock with the moss and the hair grass to the right, and having that up front to the glass like that, it really a nice technique to balance that with what's going on the left side. And but I like this layout. I like the rock, and I like how that rock harmonizes with the wood. And again, on the red stem plants, if it maybe a little bit of the green rotala or just something back there to kind of create another layer between the wood and the red that I'm seeing, again, gives it a little bit more depth and natural feel. But overall, I like this one a lot.
I think we need something growing in between the wood, something that is popping. So it makes it a soft transition from the front to the background.
Yes.
Yeah, we move.
Yep.
Let's go.
33. This is from Rasto. I don't know how to say the name. Sorry, Rasto. So let's look to this. It's a very colorful aquascape. Again, if I'm going to be picky, I don't like to see sand mixed with soil. It's better just to vacuum and place some sand. So that will give us the idea that the tank was completely clean and pristine. Very nice care during the process. But I know it tends always to mix it up a little bit. I am not a big fan of too much red all over. Of course, the use of alternate on left corner probably drives too much my attention. And seeing those roots coming there, maybe shorter, would be nice.
I agree.
But I would like to see some vanishing point, mostly not having a wall. Wait. No, it's my wife and fantasy.
What happened?
Oh, wait. It's the alarm. It's the alarm.
Oh, it's alive. Okay.
Yeah, it's the alarm at home. So, and wait, what I was saying, there's just a lot of red on the background. So it means that it's not a vanishing point. This is like a complete line on that. But art is okay. I like the use of Ciperos of Fairy, the small, a little bit of hydrocotyl, the Sphalandra. The small details are okay, but just need definition, just that.
Yeah, you can see how the plants can make the difference, because you can see the tank and you can see, okay, it's a small tank, because the plants, I think the size are not the most correct ones, because it's the Anubia, I think it's too big, because you can see the mini Bucephalandra. So I think it's the size of the plants. So
I'll agree with you on that as well. The red on the front left, that had been just a little shorter or down a little bit. This is another aquascape, though, that when I look at it, it gives me a certain feeling, a certain presence. And I think that has to do with the use of the reds. There's nothing here that's like overly bright green. I will agree that the sand in the front should have just been either just all soil, or I would have just kept that soil with just a little bit of the foreground that was working there. Then possibly another dragon stone or another stone. I just have that one main stone in the middle. So if there's like another accent piece, possibly to the left a little bit, just peeking out. And then because the wood on the left and the right, I think would have kind of completed it for me.
I think, Mike, somehow the dragon stones, they are there. I think they
Yeah, but you
somehow
cannot
they
see it.
get these guys
Yeah,
with the plants over it,
you
and
cannot see
now,
the hardscape.
yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
they are there. They look close.
And then if we could just have done I look again, that looks like cypress off to the right, kind of bringing it in, in like
Yeah,
bringing it in together. It's just a little one-sided for me, and that touch and that technique of even that plant kind of wisping in front of that driftwood is kind of a nice. It gives it depth, and it's a nice texture. And if we had that subtly off to the right side a little bit there, but overall, I like this. I like the plant selection. Again, some of the bigger plants in here on that front left that could have been a little bit shorter or smaller, but I like the feel of this layout.
yeah, but in general,
Yeah, no,
looks
it's nice.
keep me happy. It's colorful. It's like spring.
Yeah.
But I think maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months more, probably just having the definition will make it completely different.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's move on. 34.
Go.
This one was one of my favorites. However, is I would say is a little bit tricky on this one, mostly because if we look closer, there are some plants they were added recently.
Mm,
Okay, we can see they are not completely adapt or submerged um, to adapt to the submerged form. You can see
mm.
just in the front we have some Ludwig Mini Super Red, we have some Rotalas, even the Monte Carlo that
Monte
looks like
Carlo.
the Planet 4 is still not fully adapted. But I don't know. When I look to this, I have a happy feeling. I don't even if the water is still not completely crystal somehow, a little bit foggy, but it's still. And I like it. It gives me. I don't know. It brings me to my childhood somehow. It triggers
Maybe.
my feelings on something. It backs to my memories somehow. I like the transition of all the background plants, the way how we
No,
did it.
yeah.
It's not too full. It's a tank that somehow we have a clear line. That doesn't matter if you have the rocks, like kind of slate that coming making the path, but it's like a fairy tale layout. Even the plants are not fully adapted.
Mm-hmm.
Probably in a few months they will be, and even can bring you even more impressive feeling. But how it looks like now, it was one of my favorites. However, you need to point out that some plants are immersed yet.
Yeah.
They need a little bit time to adapt. However,
Mm.
the idea is there. And I want to point out that, let me check the name. Sorry, let me check the name. Is Willem.
Willem.
Uh, is this first or second or third layout as an aquascaper? And he has. This is what when I tell to people, we need to have a clear idea of what you want to do, and the idea that or the story behind is clear to all of us. When we look, we can see it, we understand, and then play with all the colors. It's like bring me to the autumn, to the fall, and we see all those trees, the
Mm-hmm.
bushes. Man, I really enjoyed that much. This layout was really, really well done, despite the plants are not fully adapted in the front to the submerged state.
And he's
Just
using Cladophora, eh? He's using a lot of species. A lot of. I will start to count, and I lose myself. He's
yeah,
using
it's a lot.
Cladophora and a lot of. I think almost all the rotalas that we had, Mediophyllum, Lobelia, Monte Carlo, and yeah,
I
it's
really
clear,
like
and
this
it
layout.
looks bigger, eh? For sure, it looks
Now, I was going to
bigger
say the
than the
same thing.
size.
When I look at this, if I didn't know what size it was, think I was looking at least a 60 centimeter, if not something,
Yeah, at
if not a
least.
90 centimeter. I think
Yeah.
also the way the kind of that innovative approach of using the stones for the path.
Mm,
That's a very, very bold move. But it
yeah.
looks so well. The textures are so they're very, it's very natural. The color balances very well with that stone to the right. Just the able to achieve that depth, and then again, just the stone placement, just to use that as a path was, it worked. And that was a bold move because it could have been a little too staged or a little too, I don't know, the word diorama is not it, but again,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
still
one of
some
my, this is one
diorama.
of my favorites also.
Still some diorama on it, Mike. It's still some diorama on it. When you look, it's like bringing a garden somehow.
Yeah.
But but even the color of the rocks, it's like the tank is no water. It
It
looks
works
like
well with the plants. Yeah.
it's raining on the rocks. You see,
Yep.
it's weird. So man, I really enjoy that much. I don't know.
The photograph as well, and even the color the color tone in the back of it just really, that's another thing that's so important too, is how the color of the background of the aquarium and how it's backlit and how that translates to the plants and everything. It's just all those textures working, the colors working together harmoniously was just so well done.
I
Yeah,
must
but
say
aquascaping,
that yeah, I must say that if
Felipe.
all the plants were completely submerged, I'm pretty sure that would get a much better ranking because I think in general everybody liked the feeling, the such environment feeling, the all the mix and everything. So what are you
Yeah,
going
but
to say, Bobby?
Felipe, because aquascaping is about emotions and feelings, so
Exactly.
you don't need to explain everything. So sometimes you just see a tank and wow, I don't know what the hell, but I really love it. So for
Yeah.
you, maybe if it was perfect, it doesn't move your
Yeah.
emotions or feelings. So you don't need always to explain every single thing. So that is your touch aquarium. I really
No,
love to
I
hear
really like
this
that
for
that much.
you. Yeah, it's
So let's
so
move
it's
on.
amazing.
35, I think it's the last one.
Go the last
So
one.
for this one, we have William. And this one is that kind of things. I think I already said this so many times. Is the diorama thing. So if you are into diorama, it is really well done. The way
Yeah,
all the rocks were placed on the sides, so you can barely see or don't see the edges. So it gives a lot of depth. All the amazing structure that was built just to hold different mosses. I think there's some Mianthus calliticoides, there is some Fistons, some
physics.
Bricardia, some small epiphyte plants here and there, some flame. But anyway, it is something that is impressive for exhibitions, for first impact layouts, because it gives that wow feeling. Okay,
Yeah,
so you can love it or you can hate it. Some people will hate it, some people will love it. And for me, in general, I like the clean image. I like how the construction was made. I love
yeah,
all the details. And of course, probably live an exhibition will be even more impressive than all
pretty
we
sure.
put.
I'm pretty sure. I completely agree. I really like everything. It's every single you can. He takes care about every single detail, the sand, the details with the mini rocks, the shadows on the right part. Yeah, congratulations. It's a diorama for sure, but it's very very well done.
Yeah,
I really want to see that tank with fish
I'm
because
not.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Bobby, but I'm not. I'm not
No, no,
personally a huge fan of diorama, but
no, me neither.
I can definitely appreciate it, and I have respect for the talent and the technique, and
Yeah.
to be able to do this in such a small aquarium again. If you didn't tell me that this was as small of an aquarium as it is, I would think I was looking at something much larger. And then just to be in such a small space and to get this attention to detail with the roots, with the plants, the rock, the health, the detail, and the transition on the sand from that transition all the way back to the rock work.
Mm.
It's a masterpiece for what it is, for sure.
Now, it is indeed amazingly done. And I think we reached the end. We don't have any more tanks to show. I really would like to thank you all for watching and for staying with us. And I think, in behalf of Aquaflora, I would like to wish you all a happy new year. And Esther would like to join us also in the stream, but she's not feeling well. So we need to make it work in the next time. I hope you
Yeah.
have enjoyed it. I hope you have enjoyed it. Have a really nice, relaxed Saturday, or have some party. Just be safe. Don't make some crazy stuff. And of course, have a happy weekend. And brother, thank you so much for joining me in
Thank
the
you.
live stream and
Thank you,
talking
everybody.
about all the tanks. I was expecting to make it in 1 hour. We did it in two. So it's not that bad. 35
Surprise,
tanks or
surprise,
31.
Felipe.
Yeah, man,
Yeah, but it
all
was
today was good,
quite
but not.
okay.
So, guys, thank you so much, everyone, for watching us. And
Thank you, Mikey.
Thank you, Balbi.
hopefully
Thank you,
next
Felipe.
year we can do it from Vivarium
Yes.
directly in Rosmalen. Okay? And
Yes,
all together
yes.
there. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, guys. Thank you
See
so
you
much
there.
for watching. And see you next time, probably in different platform. Have a nice weekend, everyone. Thank you,
Love you
bro.
guys.
Thank you, Mike.
Love you, Teeth.
And let's take some shots of Pristine now.
Don't
Good day,
steal. Don't,
everyone.
please. Bye.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.